Welcome to Geology, a channel dedicated to making concepts in biology simple, easy to understand, and interesting. You are aware that we're dealing with the question and answers of the NCERT biology portion of the cbse book, and we've already done and completed the life processes in another video. Now we are going to start with control and coordination. In this video, we are going to look at the in-chapter questions. Let's begin. What is the difference between reflex action and walking? Reflex action, we know, is an automatic sudden response to a stimulus. For example, when we touch something hot, we instantly remove our hand. So we cannot control its intensity. And here the response doesn't go all the way up to the brain to get a reaction. Here the response is mediated by the spinal cord and the lower brain regions. This reflex action mainly is designed for survival or protection, and it is inborn. Even a newborn has certain reflex actions, and it is present right from birth. As against this, walking is a coordinated activity where there are a lot of muscles and bones which work in coordination based on the signal that they receive from the brain. So the speed and other parameters can be changed at will. We could increase our speed of walking, we could decrease the speed of walking. It's up to us. But we cannot decide on how fast we are going to remove our hand if we touch across, if we come across a hot object. Then walking is mediated by higher brain regions, and it is done for movement. We have to learn how to walk. So it comes stage by stage, and it is in control of our will, or it is in control of the brain. What happens at the synapse between two neurons? Now, what is a synapse? Synapse is basically the junction portion between two neurons. So there is a sending neuron which is sending the information, and there's a receiving neuron which is receiving the information. So the electric signals come from the sending neuron, and then there is a small gap or a cleft, and the dendrite or the cell body of the receiving neuron receives the signal. So in between this, that is inside this gap, there are certain chemicals or neurotransmitters which are released. So this electric energy which comes, it gets converted into chemical energy, which is in the form of the neurotransmitters, which are received by the next neuron, and then it is again converted into electric signal, and it is sent across through the next neuron. So neurotransmitters are released across this gap to convey the signals between the neurons. Which part of the brain maintains posture and equilibrium of the body? So it is the cerebellum, that is the hind brain, which maintains the posture and equilibrium of the body. Next question, how do we detect smell of an agarbatti or an incense stick? Agarbatti, when burns, releases smoke which has a high concentration of odorant molecules. Now these molecules enter our nose along with the air, and then the nose has olfactory receptors which pick up this perfume. This signal is then transmitted to the olfactory bulb of the cerebrum, where it is processed and then it is responded to. What is the role of brain in reflex action? So brain does not have any direct role in reflex action because it's a sudden response, and it is controlled by the spinal cord. So the information is only sent to the brain for records, but not for any kind of action taking. So when the action has to happen, there is the receptor or the skin which receives the stimulus. The sensory neuron conveys it. It goes to the spinal cord, where there is a relay neuron which transmits or relays the information across to the motor neuron, which is connected with the effector, which could be a muscle or any other organ which has to take part or which has to take action. And based on the response from the motor neuron, the effector, the muscle or the organ, takes its action. What are plant hormones? Plant hormones are also known as phytohormones. Phyto means plants, and hormone basically are chemical substances which are produced by the body, in this case the plants, to regulate the growth, development, differentiation, and a number of other physiological processes. Some examples are auxin, gibberellin, abscisic acid, and cytokinins. Then, how is the movement of leaves of sensitive plants different from the movement of shoot towards light? Now, movement of leaves of a sensitive plant, which is your touch me not plant, Mimosa pudica, this occurs in response to touch. This is not a growth related change, and it happens only because of change of turgor pressure or the change of water content in the base of the leaves. So at the pulvinus, the cells have a turgor pressure which changes, and because of which the leaves wilt. Whereas the movement of shoot towards light is a phototropic movement where it is there is a differential growth and there is an action of phytohormone auxin. So this is a movement of the shoot towards the light. Question 8. Give an example of a plant hormone that promotes growth. You have 3 plant hormones. I've taken the example of auxin. Question 9. How do auxins promote growth of a tendril around a support? Now, when the tendril comes in contact with the support, the auxins which are present at the side of the point of contact, those auxins move away and move to the opposite side or the side away from the support. Now we know that auxins promote growth. So because of the higher concentration of auxin on the farther side, it starts growing faster. So there is a differential growth where one growth happens faster, one side grows faster than the other side. And this leads to the bending of the tendril, and a bent tendril when touches the support thereafter starts growing further and entwines or encircles the support. Question 10. Design an experiment to demonstrate hydrotropism. And what is hydrotropism? It is the movement of a plant part towards water or in the direction from where it receives stimuli from water. So in the experiment, we need to ensure that we are giving these subheadings of apparatus, procedure, observation, and result or interpretation. So we have taken 2 vessels, vessel A and B, and we have planted 2 seeds in it. Vessels A has wet soil, which means there is water all over the soil, and in the second vessel there is the soil is dry and there is an earthen pot in which we have kept water. So from the earthen pot the water slowly moves out and then wets the area of the soil which is near the clay pot. So we observe after a few days that the roots developed under the sapling has been flowing, has been directed or is bent towards the side of the water. So sometimes it is even against the force of gravity that the root grows upwards wherever it finds water. How does chemical coordination take place in animals? Chemical coordination in animals happens with the help of hormones, which are chemical or informational molecules. Hormones are secreted by ductless glands of the endocrine system. And then there's feedback mechanism which regulates the timing and the amount of the hormone released. For example, is the regulation of insulin by pancreas. So whenever the blood sugar level is high, that is maybe after food when the glucose concentration is high in the blood, pancreas secretes insulin. This insulin is released by the beta cells of the pancreas, and then the insulin causes glucose to be absorbed by all the cells, and then the extra is stored in the liver and muscles in the form of glycogen. So after the storage and absorption of glucose, when the glucose level falls, the secretion of insulin also falls. We have given this diagram here for easy understanding. You may or may not draw the diagrams in the exams. However, generally for a 3 mark or a 5 marks question, if we are able to supplement it with diagrams, it's always an added advantage. Why is the use of iodized salt advisable? Iodine is basically necessary for the production of hormone thyroxine by the thyroid glands. Now, thyroxine is a very important hormone because it helps in metabolism of fat, protein, carbohydrates, and thyroid also regulates the basal metabolic rate, or the BMR, the physical activity, some portion of the body temperature, heart rate, and then mental, physical, and sexual development. So thyroxine deficiency can cause a lot of issues like goiter, cretinism, myxedema, and it also interferes with the metabolic system, the physical and mental functions. So to avoid all of these issues, we need to consume iodized salt so that there is enough iodine in the body for synthesis of hormone thyroxine. How does our body respond when adrenaline is secreted into blood? Now, adrenaline is our emergency hormone, or the triple F hormone. Triple F because it prepares the body for fight, flight, or fright. So, adrenaline, when released in the blood, it reduces the blood supply to peripheral blood vessels and to the gastrointestinal tract. A lot of blood flows into skeletal and heart muscles, because of which the heart rate increases, the breathing rate increases, and a lot of oxygen goes to the muscles, and more glucose is mobilized to the muscles for higher activity. So these are all the different things which happens in the body when adrenaline is secreted. Why are some patients of diabetes treated by giving injections of insulin? Now, diabetes mellitus is of two types, insulin dependent and insulin independent. So here we're talking about the insulin dependent diabetes. In this case, pancreas is unable to produce the required quantity of insulin. So as a result of it, what happens? The blood sugar which is present in the blood, maybe after food or if on consumption of sugar, the blood sugar in the blood continues to rise, and some portion of the sugar also gets excreted through the urine. So this needs to be kept in check, and for which regular injections of insulin or tablets of insulin are given. So availability of the insulin helps the cells to take up the glucose, and also it helps the liver and muscles to store the excess glucose as glycogen. With this, we come to the end of this video, where we have seen the in-chapter questions of control and coordination. Do subscribe to my channel so that you receive the next video in the series, where we are going to look at the questions, exercise questions for the same chapter. If you like this video, please do like, share and comment. And don't forget to subscribe to Geology by Sanchita.